Hi, everybody.
Hey guys.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to another Maximize Monday. We're so glad that you have all joined us today, this Monday morning. And we only have, what, three three Maximize Mondays for the year because we're off on Christmas Day and for New Year's Day. So uh, we're excited about the end of the year. I'm sure mine's excited about Christmas.
Yeah, can't get here soon enough.
And they decorated on Saturday. Looks good around here.
Yay.
Nice.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I heard it was fun. Heard it was
We got
fun.
the music going. Chef had the hot chocolate and cookies ready for us.
Uh, yeah, that's good. That's good. Um, as you're coming, don't forget we have Embrace class tonight at 7 in person as well as online. And we have tomorrow is Focus Singles Ministry, 7 o'clock.
Pastor Prescott.
Pastor Prescott online only. Of course, Bible study on Wednesday. Please don't forget we're also collecting new unwrapped toys as well as hats, gloves, and scarves for children, kindergarten to the 12th grade. We're collecting those up until the 15th of this month. If you purchase them, of course, you can bring them and drop them off at the in the bins, or you can give on any of our giving platforms. Click Catch the Fire, and we'll go out and purchase the items. We
Mhm.
have organizations, a pediatric hospital, some community groups, some schools that we're going to take the toys to so they can pass out uh, for to their population. And we'll talk more about it at the end of Maximize Monday. Also, we're bringing them on the 13th, the Bible study. Bible study on the 13th. We're going to bring all of them, all the toys and everything. We're going to pray over them. We don't know what houses they're going into, but we're just believing God that uh, our act of love is going to benefit someone during this time frame. All right.
A lot of great things going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I
And
agree.
then what else is starting this week?
Um, hold on. My eyes itchy. Sorry.
Bright and early.
On Wednesday at 7 a.m., we are having a prayer online.
Hmm.
Join us on any of our platforms uh, this Wednesday at 7 a.m. as we pray every Wednesday this month going into the new year at 7 a.m. Join us
Yep.
Wednesday, 7 a.m. prayer time. We're going to pray into the new year every Wednesday of this month. So getting up extra early so we can pray at 7 a.m. Praise the Lord. And those who are up, come on, join us.
Hallelujah.
If you're not up, wake up a little earlier. Come on and pray with us uh, this Wednesday on Wednesdays this month. As we go into the new year on a spiritual surfboard as we ride the wave of what the Lord is doing.
Yeah.
All
It's gonna
righty.
be great.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be
Mhm.
good. Maya can pray one time. I don't know. I don't feel like doing it. Maybe she can pray
I
one
think all the Wednesdays in December are booked already for you guys. So
time.
maybe 20 years from now.
You know what? That's true. You actually have to have a prayer life to do it. So
See, I have a prayer life. I do have a prayer life.
yeah.
It's not
Yep.
as good as you
Oh
guys
please.
who are going to be doing it on Wednesdays at 7 a.m.
You know she hasn't started. She's waited to the COVID to start reading her Bible.
See, that's okay. We're not going to rehash lies, and more lies.
Yeah, sure. So anyway, it is the end of the year, and we want to end off strong, so we can go into the new year strong. I think a lot of people wait until January 1st to start things, but I've learned usually that stuff doesn't hold. You want to go into the new year with some momentum, with a practice, so that by the time you get into it, you already have a rhythm going. I think this is the difference between something being a characteristic versus something just being an emotional move.
Hmm.
And usually, when something doesn't stick, we make an emotional move. It's not a character move. if I can say it like this, the scripture, Paul puts it like this in Ephesians, where he talks about our ability to comprehend God's love. That word means to apprehend. It means to see something. So not only does it have you, but you have it. Where now it's a part of who I am. It's not just simply a thought process or a feeling. It's like those people, every New Year, January, I'm gonna start working out, and by March you kind of slide off, because it's usually an emotional decision rather than something that is a character change. And what God is looking for is not just seasonal emotional things, it's a character adjustment. Right? It's a character thing. It's a change in my nature. There it is. Not just a change in my behavior. Those two go hand in hand. The more I work on my behavior, the more it helps my nature change. The more I work on my mindset change, the more it reflects in a behavior change. Those things, they go together.
Yeah.
So one of the things we'll talk about for the next this one in the next 2 weeks is those nature changes. So the next year we can go into it with momentum, and watch this. It can be something that can last, rather than something that we starting to fizzle out, and by March we're back to our same old behavior. That's why I hate the slogan "New Year, New Me." I'm like, come on, y'all. Just I know it's neurotic, but it's just every year it's the same thing. New Year, New Me. And my thing is like this: if you have to cut people off at the end of every year, we have to do a better job at choosing relationships. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, and that goes into what I was thinking. We're saying that there needs to be a nature change, but I think oftentimes we're not really aware of what our nature is. And so, going to your point with the New Year, New Me, if you're having to cut people off year after year, that's repetitive. That means that there's probably a problem with the source, which is you.
There's one thing in common.
Right. So, I mean, even taking the step back and reevaluating, okay, what our nature is and what are the areas that, I need to work on, or, what is the common, commonality in things that are causing me to find myself in these repetitive situations.
Yeah, there's only one thing in common is us. And I'm glad you brought that up, because while you were talking, it brought up thinking about something you initiated when you first started your part, was thinking of the decisions that got us where we are today, that are making us reflect on decisions. So like we say, I got to start cutting people off or making these changes. What choices led me to who I am today, where I need to change? We look at the outcome, but not the thing that produced the outcome.
Yeah.
What events happened? What choices happened? What things occurred that created this me, that I look at and say, you know what? I need to make some adjustments.
Yeah.
And learning from those things, so that we can make the necessary changes. Some of the things that created who we are today wasn't our fault, but the healing is our responsibility. Like if you were a child and you were abandoned, or even if you were grown and something significant happened to you that hurts you, you may not have been in control of the event, but you are now in control of what you're going to do post that event. And I think that's what we have to start looking at.
Yeah.
I want to change this. What produced this about me?
Yeah.
I need to remove myself from these certain people. What produced my choosing of X, Y, and Z? And learn to make those adjustments, because we often look at relationships. We often look out to the people that we chose, rather than looking within to say, what made me choose this person? And once we start getting that realistic viewpoint of ourselves, we can start making some. What is this?
It's a thumbs up. You did the thumbs up.
Oh, that does it automatically?
Yeah. You can't tell with mine because I got my backdrop up, but
I see it a little bit.
Yeah.
Interesting. We start making. When did that become a feature?
Well, you probably updated your laptop recently.
I did, yes.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So we
That's
You
not good for people who get distracted real easily.
I know. We oh, and those people and learning to make those adjustments.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, you look down on yourself now. It's just learning to see where root, because root produces fruit.
Mhm.
Look at the root, look at the
Mhm.
cause. We often fix the effect while the cause is still the same. And wonder why we keep having the same
Yeah.
effects. Like all of us that have the same New Year's resolutions or goals every single year. They're the same goal because we didn't do them the past
Yeah,
5 years.
something's not working.
Yeah, so it's like something's going on if I keep having these same goals that go unaccomplished every single year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Two thoughts. So the first thought is that, it's real easy to point outward and to see how people or life has hurt me
mhm,
instead of seeing, like you said, our own responsibilities and things in the
mhm,
struggle, right? And I mean, I hear stories all the time, like you said, sometimes life happens.
yep,
Sometimes, things happen that are outside of your control. But what is in our control is what we do next. And I think that's where we have the most power,
yep,
not to negate the things that happen, but to address them
mhm,
and take that power back so that you're not passing that on to the next generation. You're not treating people, the way that you were treated, So that type of mindset. But then also, what you just said too is, if we find ourselves in the same situation of trying to meet the same goal, that means that we might need to shift. And I think that that's uncomfortable sometimes because there's comfort in doing things that feel easier
yeah,
instead of having to do a change.
yeah, yeah. I I read something years ago that said, I'll never forget this, ideas are deceptive.
Mhm.
The reason why is because sometimes we can get caught up in the idea of a thing and think
Mhm.
that's enough and never do the work.
Mhm.
So it's like every year I'm going to do. Every year I got this thought. Every year I'm going to X, Y, and Z. And we get content with the thought
Mhm.
and think that's enough rather than doing the work to actually get me to,
Yeah.
like how many times, and I'm guilty of it too. I'm sure other people are, where you keep saying I'm going to do it, and that gave you some form of contentment, like you actually like we actually did.
Woo!
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we actually did nothing.
I mean, it's a start,
It's a
but it's like 10% of the 100% that of work that needs to get done.
but nothing was done. That's the thing. It's like absolutely nothing was done. And it's we don't like it, you know, but we have to start owning it. I love the idea of a thing more than the actual reality of the thing.
Mhm.
I love the idea of the thing rather than the actual working of the thing.
Mhm.
Fall in love with the idea, not the practice.
Yeah.
It's almost like marriage, kids, being an entrepreneur. The idea is wonderful because usually when we think of those things, we only think of the positive benefits that come from it and not the actual work that produces the positive benefits.
Mhm.
And you being a business owner, you understand it takes
Struggle.
a long time for something to finally feel like it's cracking and breaking.
Mhm.
And then that's why so many feel so relieved when it finally starts clicking, because you're like, all the work I put into, and
Yeah.
it's finally feel like it's,
Mhm.
and people get caught up in, oh, they just found they did it. And you're like, you don't know all the stuff that had to go into.
Mhm.
It's like putting in 5 years of work for something that only lasts for 15 minutes.
Mhm.
It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the problem in that too is that people are looking for that success to look like someone else's. So
mm,
then that's how you know when you truly made it because, you met these numbers and whatever else. But, just to speak from my own experience, like, yes, I would like to see some of the accomplishments that others have in my own life,
mhm,
but it comes in smaller ways too. I just posted something on the weekend about a review that someone left
mhm,
on their time in my studio, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's a win." you
Yeah.
know? So not taking the small victories for granted and stop comparing what
Mhm.
your journey is to someone else's.
Yeah, because everybody's journey is different.
Mhm.
And I mean, I look at people like even like people like Steve Harvey and a couple other people who things started to come together the older they got.
Mhm.
And I remember listening to him one time. He said, if God gave me what I have now in my 20s, my 30s, I'd have blew it.
Mm.
It's all clicking right now and I know how to manage it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying everybody's going to be that where, when you hit 50, 60, where it finally starts to kind of click. I'm not saying everybody's like that. But I'm saying all that to say that I can look back on my own life. If I had some of the things I had now at 2025, I'd mess it up. I
Yeah.
didn't have maturity for what I wanted.
Mhm.
And when we get impatient and think like it's taking too long, sometimes God's delay is our protection.
Mhm.
And as much as we don't like that, God's actually protecting us from us or something we're not ready for. And we have to learn to trust God's timing,
Mhm.
that he knows when it's best to bring it into our lives when we think we're ready for something that he knows we're not really ready for.
Mhm.
And that's hard because we always think we're ready.
Yeah.
Always.
Mhm. It's about the process, you know. On the other end of that, I was watching Maxine's Baby. It's about Tyler Perry and his
Oh, okay.
start in life.
Okay.
And pretty much what he's saying is that everything that he went through, the
Mhm.
abuse and, being homeless, all that stuff,
Mhm.
it made him who he is today.
Mhm.
But it's also the catalyst for so many of his stories that,
Yeah.
have made him a billionaire.
Yeah.
He was able to pull from that. So in that same token, the process, sometimes we're going to have to go through things, and God will take us through things that in the moment we're not going to want to do.
Mhm.
But, it serves a greater purpose that you might not understand until we get to that aha, I've made it moment.
Yeah. 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 And you'll look back and you realize, I told I was teaching my class on Thursday, and Psalm 119, the psalmist says, it was good that I was afflicted.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to that place overnight. That
Mm-hmm.
takes years to look back over and say, you know what? I didn't like it. I wouldn't want to go through it again, but it was good that I went through that
Yep.
because of what it produced. And that takes time.
Mm-hmm.
For some of us, that can take 10, 15, 20 years for it to kind of, you start to see and understand.
Yeah.
And I know some people, I don't know if Tyler Perry said, I think Steve Harvey said it, that, he wouldn't recommend people going through his process. I could have did some things better,
Mm-hmm.
because he's talking about living in his car, doing all that stuff. And
Yeah.
one of the ways of success is going through a process and teaching people how to avoid some of your pitfalls.
Yep.
Things that made you, there's a better way to get there
Mm-hmm.
besides going through X, Y, and Z. But there comes a time when you look back, and it takes time,
Mm-hmm.
where you'll say, you know what? I didn't like it, but it was kind of, I see what it produced.
Yep.
And that takes time. I don't know how we
Yep.
got on this topic, but
I don't know. But the key point in that too is that they didn't give up.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's so easy to do these days, because when the going gets tough, I'm out of here. I don't need to go through this.
Yeah.
But there's so much to learn, and if you just,
Mhm.
continue to trust God in the process
Yeah.
instead of giving up, like,
Yeah.
so much that can come from it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's just learning to, and patience, right? Yeah. Trusting God with the process, right?
There we go.
Yeah. I don't know how we got somewhere about the
I
new
knew
year.
it made sense somehow.
I got back there. I'm really sleepy today. So somehow that patience, because we start talking about ideas
Mm-hmm.
and being deceptive, and the patience to build, 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 do until it finally clicks.
Mm-hmm.
The people that we admire, it took them 20, 40 years to get to where they are. It took them a long time to get where they are.
Yeah.
it starts clicking. Like in the preacher world, we usually tell people that those that you see that hit a certain platform where stuff's like clicking, it's taken them maybe 20 plus years for it to finally start to kind of come together.
Mm-hmm.
That takes a minute for it to kind of, and it's for those of us who are just really getting started, it's foolish to compare yourself to somebody who's been doing it for 30, 40, 50 years. You've been doing it for 10.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you're not going to be where they are.
Yeah.
And then some people, they pop early, but those are the rare exceptions. Rare exceptions. The people that have been doing it for a shorter time and things click. Mm-hmm. But what they don't talk about is their learning curve and how hard it is for them.
Yep.
And they go through something big in the middle of it to help them to the stuff they could have went through in the beginning, they hit it in the middle. And if they manage that well, it produces success.
Mm-hmm.
But we say all that to say, I don't know how we got from the new year all the way to, I don't know, to here is learning to take your time, learn, and make the right choices so you can build that momentum for where you're going.
Yeah. And I think that's good to keep in mind as we do enter into the new year, so that we don't find ourselves saying, new year, new me, when 2025 is coming. We have to go through the process of what this next year is going to bring us, and making sure that we're taking a step back and, taking opportunities to learn, what am I doing? What can I do better? What are things I need to work on? All those things, so that by the time we're at the end of this next year, we're not saying, oh, we're in the same spot or we're in the same position as we were when we started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I'm thinking now about some things that I want to do next year. Mm-hmm. I'm starting to work on them now. Mm-hmm. So I can go into momentum. So for instance, like we do Lent next year, stuff I'm going to give up. I'm starting to kind of work on those things now. So when it's time, it's not like an abrupt start. Mm-hmm. Because again, the premise of fasting, the premise of doing is to create a lifestyle change. Mm-hmm. Where it's not just I'm fasting for the moment, I'm fasting for character change. So when it's over, I don't go back to some of the things that I was giving up.
Yeah.
To go into with a momentum where it's easier to slide into it because now it's a part of who you are as a person. Mm-hmm. So going back to, praise the Lord, going back to how we started from the beginning, nature change, because nature change produces behavior change. Mm-hmm. And next week we can probably talk about a little bit more how nature and behavior go together, where your being has to change so your doing can change.
Yeah.
We're not called human doings, we're called human beings. And when your being changes, your doing changes. Mm-hmm. All right. I gotta go check on these kids real quick, and, and I gotta ask you something after it's over. Oh, before we go, we are having a grief support group starting soon on December the 12th from 5 to 6 p.m. We're gonna have a grief support event. It should be online. If you're interested, shoot an email to social at Go to Bethany right now. Just shoot an email to social. She'll forward it to us, and we'll probably have another one.
It's on 12/12.
December 12th. Yeah, December 12th from 5 to 6. Online. We may try to do another one later, but like around like 7 or something. People are off work. But yeah, if you're interested and you need help, everybody goes through some form of grief, and the holidays can be a very challenging time, and you don't have to do it by yourself. So if you're interested in the grief support group, shoot us an email, go to Bethany, and we'll reach out to you, and we'll talk to you all about that grief support group. And I believe when's the Sound Mind, this Thursday or next Thursday?
Yep. So Sound Mind is this Thursday. Next Thursday.
Okay. I believe they're going to talk about
the 14th. Yeah.
They're going to talk about some grief there too.
Mm-hmm.
I believe. I think so. Okay. All right. So don't forget to join us this Wednesday at 7 a.m. We're having online prayer. on all of our platforms. Meet us as we pray every Wednesday this month at 7 a.m. I'll sure to have my coffee. Make sure I am awake this Wednesday, and God's good.
Yep. I'll make sure I'm here to press the start button.
Oh, yeah, you better be. I'm going to call you. But your phone ain't never on. So how am I going to be able to?
My alarm goes off a little bit earlier now. So I should be good by 7.
Whatever. You're going to put your phone somewhere, and I'll be texting you and calling you when you want something. Then all of a sudden your phone is by you.
That's not true. That's not true.
Y'all, she's lying. Bye, y'all. We'll thank y'all for coming on and join us next Monday at noon for Maximize Monday.
Bye.
See y'all.